what are some of the things that you're passionate about?
With NTI, what I want to do is I want to encourage and inspire employers to give these already incredible people opportunities. Even the whole interview concept, that whole system is so fundamentally flawed, where if you have an autistic person who is normally very truthful, very upfront, very direct, that's not always we're great salespeople. Although for this interview, this is the first time that you've done this interview. I've already done this interview 3 times today because I practice everything and I knew what you were going to ask me. But if you were to do an interview with me for a job, I wouldn't be as articulate and well-spoken and prepared as what I am now. And I'm not the only person in that position. There's so many people out there who are so well qualified. Employers just don't really get what autism and the autistic community is all about. I think it's a great tick box exercise for decision makers within companies to say, yeah, we're going to get autism awareness training for all our staff, which is really propagating the negativities among their staff. But not many decision makers themselves really are proactive and say, okay, I want to make a change. I want to learn more about autism and autistic people so that I can feel confident and competent in offering opportunities to the amazing diversity that exists out there in the world. And that's what I really want to do with NTI as well.
I just want to echo what you said, that our approach is, it's not about changing the applicant. I mean, our applicants might need a little bit of coaching, but we're not trying to change them. It's the employers that need to be taught how to meet these wonderful applicants halfway. Just meet them halfway. You don't need to turn your business on its head, but you need to just do certain things that are good practices for all of your potential hires, really, so that you can allow these gifted individuals to put their best foot forward and show you what they can do. When we coach companies on how to interview, we say, give someone the questions or at least the topics ahead of time. You've got someone who may communicate differently than what you're used to, and they're going to be particularly anxious in this environment. And so you're not going to necessarily get the best of them or even what's representative of the good work they do on a normal Tuesday. And that's really what you want to get. You want to understand what they're capable of. So let's dial down the anxiety a little bit and just give them a chance to share what they can do. I really want to ask you about your parenting style.
I'm still very organized. All the wonderful things that make me still exist, although I don't use those to the point where it's detrimental to Ethan. Ethan is my hero and savior. He's my best friend in the whole world. We're kind of in awe of each other. It's a bit different than the typical father-son situation where I'm the autistic one and he isn't. It makes us the perfect odd couple, although we still happen to be 2 peas in a pod. I haven't given up my real reliance and comfort blanket that is routine and structure, but getting Ethan involved in it, it's more like a partnership. We decide the routine together. We decide the meal plans for the week. We decide the activities together, where he's involved at every step of the process. He is a key member in the running of the household.
I think that's just good parenting. You treat him as an individual. You give him as much autonomy as Ethan can handle. I know that you set boundaries where it comes to his physical safety, right? You're not going to put him in a situation where it's like, you want to go play in traffic today? I mean, right? You do set boundaries with him, but you don't set arbitrary, unnecessary boundaries.
Ethan is a lot more streetwise than what I am, and he knows I do struggle in certain areas. I make no secret of it. I know that I'm a proud autistic man, but there's still some things like every other human being I don't like, and one of them would be the like of children's play areas, where if there's just too many people there and there's too many children screaming and crying and running around and it's just too hectic, he can recognize that within me and say, oh, Daddy, do you want to go home now? And because he knows when I struggle as well. And I mean, he's such a sensitive child, and he's so aware, and it's so nice, it's so refreshing, and hopefully he grows up a proud, respectful man of other people, other cultures, other diversities, because that will be all he's ever known.
Well, and I don't think there's any doubt that that's where he's headed. You're sharing with him areas where you struggle. to the extent that, he can handle it, I'm sure, for his age, but, you don't assume that because he's a younger human, he can't handle that. He can. And what a great example for him, because we all have struggles, right? We all have areas of challenge, and he's going to have his. So there's, that idea of hypermasculinity maybe, or, that you can't admit any weaknesses. I think it's just the opposite, right? I think real strength is saying, hey, that I struggle there. And so teaching him as a young man to be respectful of others, but also to be comfortable with, hey, I'm going to struggle in some areas too. I think that's just fantastic. And I relate it a lot. I really think that your book is a wonderful parenting book, full stop. How has COVID impacted you this year?
Not too much, because with my profession, lockdown didn't really mean anything to me. I work with vulnerable people who are still vulnerable, pandemic or not. So I still worked full time right the way through. There were other areas that I did struggle with, places I liked to go, I couldn't go to, and being faced with such a huge challenge and such a drastic change, because I like traveling around. I often go for walks alone. I like to do my own thing. I suppose with that choice being taken away from me, that kind of acute pain of change all of a sudden came back. And I suppose I try to look for the silver linings and everything, and that I'll always say that if COVID hadn't have come and lockdown hadn't have happened, then NTI probably would never have been founded, because I did have more time split between working in my office and working from home to develop a side hustle, which has now got out of hand to the point where it's going to become my full-time hustle and start of empire, hopefully.
One of our executives is autistic, and he jokes that he says, hey, I've been social distancing my whole life. Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
For a lot of folks, that, the idea of working remotely, a lot of neurodiverse people are exceptional at that. They really do very well with that. I know for my son, the change in structure was tough for him. He's had to adjust to that. The change in routine. There's a new normal, and adjusting to that new normal took a little bit of time, but he's getting there. If there's a message that you would want to share with other neurodiverse individuals, what would it be?
For every neurodiverse individual in the world, whether you're autistic or dyslexic, whatever wonderful gift that you have, is the sooner you accept and love yourself for who you are, the easier life will become, not only for you, but for everyone else around you. I wish that I was able to see a proud neurodiverse adult whenever I was young, to get a bit of inspiration that maybe I can grow up to be a success, maybe I can grow up to achieve great things, maybe I can have a family, maybe I can hold down a job, have a nice car, take flying lessons, whatever it may be. Really, the possibilities are endless, and having self-limiting beliefs is a real thing, because I certainly did have them. Never be afraid to seek help in getting a mindset and perspective change in order to view your life differently than what you may view it now. I thought that all of my life would be just fighting obstacles one after the other, but really it's just one victory and one after the other. Certainly everybody can make that change, and I implore you all to do so.
So same question. What would you want to share with neurotypicals out there that are watching this, that may have understanding or experience with neurodiversity? What would you want to share with them?
The first request that I would make of every neurotypical in the world is to stop trying to change who autistic people are. I know that the vast majority of people in the world have their hearts in the right place and want to help autistic people. And I want to say that helping autistic people cannot involve suppressing who they are, cannot involve trying to make them do things that are uncomfortable to them. For example, whether it's eye contact or stopping fidgeting or whatever it may be. Autistic children are wonderful, gifted and creative exactly how they are. Some people, like me, as you pointed out, have been social distancing our entire lives, and it's not always necessary to gently encourage or force them to make friends or join in activities that they don't like. Relationships should be built with each individual autistic child. There's no one-size-fits-all strategy that's going to work, except for this one. Just accept them for who they are. Good things will come. The child will flourish. The adult in the workplace will flourish. Every neurotypical has the chance to be an autistic person's hero. Take it.
I want to plug the book one more time. For those of you who have not bought it yet, you really need to. It's called Why Does Daddy Always Look So Sad? And it's wonderful. But I understand you have a new book coming out soon. What can you tell us about that?
It's going to be called Loving Your Place on the Spectrum. It's not a sequel to Why Does Daddy Always Look So Sad? There's some details in it that are a part of a bit of a sequel, but it's a collection of all the topics regarding neurodiversity that should be talked about more often. For example, the correct use of language, correct symbols to use, discussing adult diagnoses, loads of other things. And it has a foreword by Tim Goldstein. The cover has been completed. It's going to be released next year sometime, but I'm really excited about it. And hopefully it will become something similar to the 10 Commandments of neurodiversity, a blueprint of the kind of foundations of what neurodiversity is and how everybody, whether you're a teacher or an employer or even a neurodiverse person, to really look at and say, right, this is the way forward. And hopefully it's the first text in a movement of moving away from the old autism awareness model.
I love it. I can't wait to read it. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do that?
Everybody can get in touch with me incredibly easily. I respond to everything. My email address for Neurodiversity Training International is neurotraininternational@gmail.com. I'm Neurodiversity Training International on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. If you message those pages, you will get a personal response from me. I always answer everything. Look at our website. It's neurodiversity-training.com, and it gives an overview of the history of NTI, what we do, what the training courses involve. Reach out to me, talk to me. I love conversation. I love chat. I want to extend that invite to absolutely everybody who's listening and or watching or both.
That's great. And we'll put links along with this interview for people who might have missed that. So as you heard, Jude is more than happy to respond to your requests by any of those medium that he mentioned. Jude, thanks for doing this, my friend. I really appreciate it.
And I really appreciate you asking me to do this too. I'm delighted with it, and as I say, I'm really excited for us working together as well. So may the good times roll.
Absolutely.